Hi again, guys. Right here from Lumboxy. As you probably tell by the thumbnail, we're harvesting potatoes. But thanks for stopping by again. We're just a small homestead slash off-grid sort of home here of 6, just trying to become more self-sufficient. And this year is the first year that we've taken growing our vegetables more serious. And what I'm actually just doing is trying to figure out on what scale I will need to grow. And this year I grew potatoes, and now I'm going to scale it up probably next year. Definitely next year. But you'll see as I'm scooping those potatoes out, you'll see the quality of the soil now. If you go back and look at some of the older videos, our dirt here is construction dirt. You'll see after doing the chop and drop method, adding organic matter, and we've actually created fertility. It's got mycelium growing through it. It's just good. So check it out. Here it comes. I don't really see that very clearly, but that's a mulberry cutting that I took, and it looks like it's finally taking. Finally, I've got a mulberry to take. Ooh, sunflowers are starting to go up. They're pretty tall. They're about 10 foot tall now. I'm saying that they're growing in my sorghum patch. The sorghum's a bit slower along, but you can see they're starting to put the heads on here. There's one. Sorghum. I've lost a few bent over, but this is full of vines. Dragon's tongue. Hungry pigs in the background. It's feed time, but I want to get out in this garden before the heat really picks up today. You know, for 95, and it's going to be a sweat pit. So here are my potatoes here. I'm going to harvest them up, get in here and see what we've got. I bet you I can get another harvest of potatoes out of here. So we're going to see what we get today, and we'll see if we've got any seed potato, like we can make some seed potatoes up and put another crop in. It's my fault. I didn't mound the dirt up way high enough. It's only about 8 inches. So we'll see what we got. Ginger. I think it's Galanga, something like that. It's my ginger. It's now finally starting to, the temperatures I guess are getting way up. Beans are growing everywhere. Tomatoes are coming on. Horseradish is coming on. Kittens are coming on. Zucchini, that's a second planting of zucchini. I usually only put a couple of zucchinis in because the stuff just grows so well. Strawberries are running. Sage is going nuts. More horseradish, more sage, more onions, lots of weeds. But like I said, with the weeds, all I do is just pull stuff out, drop it back down, let it feed the soil. I have no idea what this is. But yeah, let's go. All right. Got my crate here. What I don't want to do is put any more, if there's a disease in here, we'll keep that out. We'll keep these out of here because we might get a second plant. We'll just freshen it up with some compost, revitalize the soil, and let's just have a look in this section. I guess we just start by pulling. Oh, look at that. And that would be the seed potato that started through. But Oh yeah, look at that. We're getting some nice ones. Wow, I'm impressed. This is really good for me. I've never grown potatoes extremely well. So it's actually really nice to find some potatoes in here that are well and truly ready to be harvested here. You can see they've died and all over. Like, there's a lot of small ones, but I'm actually really impressed. Holy moly. I think it's a boy. So like I said, this is probably 10 foot long by 3 foot wide. And we're getting a good amount. Like, that's pretty good, man. Look at that, you know. Like, there's some small ones in here, but also some good eaters. So these are Yukon Golds, and it's the first year I've grown Yukons. And I think I'll definitely grow them again and increase my garden size, because for a 10 by 3 potato bed, I think we've done all right. And I really probably could have got a lot more out of it if I had have piled up the dirt a lot more, the soil. I did help this with biochar and a lot of fertilizer from my pigs and chickens. Look at that. We're just, you look at the mycelium growth here. All those little white things, that's mycelium growth. Seem to have disturbed some ants here, so I'll have to deal with them. Holy moly. This will give me an idea of how much I'm going to have to actually grow. If I was to fully feed my family off what I could grow, this is going to give me an idea of what will be involved. And obviously it's going to be a lot more than what I've got here. But I think this is a good start to get an understanding of the scale that I would need to scale up to. But I tell you what, I'm definitely going to make another one of these sort of potato bins. That's the garden empty. That's how big it is. It's probably around about 3 by 10. But you can see there's a lot of mycelium growing in there. There's some leaves. I mulch that in layers. And I bet you I'm gonna find more in here. But look at that. That's the soil. I love it. And there's my haul. Incredible for that little area. But that does tell me that I'm gonna need to scale up big time. So guys, I've got some nice large ones, you know, softball size. Got some, you know, baseball size ones. I got some smaller, like, you know, just a little bit smaller than a tennis ball. But average, I don't know, average would probably be about baseball size. I'm definitely gonna have to make probably 2 more of these potato bins. I think that would be acceptable. That would give me, you know, if I did everything correctly, I should probably get close to 100 pound out of the 3. I would say you know, I think that's doable. 100 pound out of 3 by 10 beds. I think you should be able to pull that. If I mounded the dirt more and gave them more growing space, yeah, I could do that. So we'd have to work out how much we eat and stuff like that. But we're also growing butternut squash, pumpkin, lots of beans. Lots of beans are actually just gonna dry out naturally on the vine. Yeah, we'll lose a few, but I've got the sorghum going in there. Now the sorghum I'm keeping for seed. I'm gonna increase my sorghum seed bank up, and they call it land racing. So I've just been throwing in stuff, whatever grows and whatever produces a good seed, I'll keep that seed back and then I'll replant next year, and then I'll just have a crop that actually grows well in my land, on my lands. So cucumbers are coming in. I was a little late starting my cucumbers up on the fences, but it's neither here nor there. Like I said, we've got a long growing season here in Middle Tennessee. Despite, you know, as long as nothing, wind about to knock you over, as long as nothing stupid happens with the weather, we can grow generally here until November. So yeah, that was my potato haul. Thanks for coming along. I'm gonna go and sit down and enjoy my coffee now and wait for my kids to get up and do all the chores, feeding the guineas, feeding the ducks, feeding the chickens, feeding the pigs, feeding the goats, feeding the dogs, cats. It's a menagerie. All right guys, that's what we got. You know, I'm pretty wrapped. I'm pretty happy. Yeah, I think so. So if I put in another 3, 4 of those, so if I presume that just with minimal work, I'm gonna get, I think that's closer to 35 pounds, 40, maybe 40. So if I probably put 4 of them in, you know, that's probably a good amount with doing minimal work. Like, all I did was fill it with dirt and throw potatoes in there. And I never, I think I watered it once at the very beginning. So yeah, I'm actually impressed. I'd rate this as probably a success on the homestead for the year. You know, tomatoes are slow. Hasn't really been hot enough. We get a hot spurt, then it goes cooler again. They're not ripening. They're producing fruit, but they're just not ripening quick enough. Obviously we've harvested rhubarb. We've got plenty of zucchinis. Man, I'm pulling zucchinis off. I forget about them for a couple of days and I'm getting them this big and, you know, size of a football. But yeah, I'm actually happy with how it's going, considering I haven't spent any time in here whatsoever. pretty much the time you see me in here is the time that I'm recording. So yeah, very impressed. Like I said, we'll collect seed this year off everything that does well. If it does well, we'll keep the seed, and we'll hold that back for next year. And then once we know that everything here is adapted to this climate as much as it can be, we'll go ahead and we'll go hard. We might even increase the size of the garden beds and go from there. But I hope you found this vaguely interesting. If you don't mind, you can hit the like, you can even subscribe, and we'll see you again next time when we're ripping something out or crying over something that didn't grow. All right.